Okay, transitioning now. All right, hello and welcome to Live Coding Happy Hour for December 7th, 2018. I'm Dave Slusher, joined with my colleagues Andrew Barnes and Chuck Tomasi. And this week is going to be a fun one. I frankly do not remember if this was all the way back to our time in the developer program when we were building the dev blog, but this is if this I'm sorry, I'm getting an echo. I'm gonna take 1 second and turn this off. But this may be harkening back. I realized that when I had to do that play thing, I didn't mute it. So why don't you guys speak for 1 second while I figure this thing out?
All right.
Okay.
Well, thank you for joining, everyone. We're from the developer program at ServiceNow. Dave and I are both developer advocates, and we live at developer.servicenow.com. We have the Chuck's going to get the noises. We've got our blog there. We help engage with the community there. It's where you get your personal developer instances. And all things developer live at developer.servicenow.com. Was that enough fill time for you there, Dave?
Yeah. Oh no, I actually only needed like 3 seconds after I said that. But that's good. All right. So Andrew kind of did the introduction for us. Why don't you go ahead, Chuck?
Hey, this is Chuck Tomasi, ServiceNow Senior TPMM with the platform team, and I'm ready to have an afternoon of coding and drinking.
From your mouth to God's ears. All right. So let me get a quick recap of what's going on here is we have been tasked with adding a blog commenting system to the developer blog. And like I was saying before when it was echoing and it was driving me crazy, we built this thing, and I will go into some of the overview of how we build the thing, but it is a statically rendered site. So when you look at the developer blog up there on the developer portal, there's no real-time stuff, right? At the point where that stuff is converted from Markdown to HTML, there's no knowledge of the actual runtime. So things like the view count, like when you get the read count, that comes from AJAX, because at render time, you don't know that. So what we're going to try to do is do a very similar thing to how we do the read count, where we get comments via AJAX and then display them on the blog. So we're going to see some Node. We're going to see some shell stuff. We're going to see some Hugo templating. This is going to be a kind of a wild one. So buckle up. So what are you drinking, Chuck?
I have one more from the Leinenkugel's variety pack, the Leinenkugel's Creamy Dark.
Interesting.
It's winter.
Andrew, did you get yourself a beer? You're in a hotel room.
I have a beer that is on the way here, but I don't know what it will be. My wife has a beer. I think it will be a Very Bad Elf, is what I brought with me. But what she brings into the room may not be my beer. It may be some other, but it should be a Very Bad Elf.
And I also have the variety pack. I have the Sam Adams Holiday Variety Pack. I'm going to have the Sam Adams Chocolate Bock.
That's
nice.
You know, I've had this one before, and you know, it changes from year to year, what the mix is. There's an old Fezziwig in this one, and I swear to God, I've liked it before. And this year, it is not. I am not feeling the old Fezziwig this year. I had them on like, is this different or am I different? Because I remember liking it like 2 or 3 years ago, and I did not like it this year. So, all right, I'm going to open my beer and share screen. And if there's anything you guys want to talk about for 10 seconds while I get the screen going, I'll let you know when the vamping is done.
Where are you, Andrew, and why?
I am in Raleigh, Cary, North Carolina, and was just talking to some of our customers here locally, and then gonna go to a holiday party, the ServiceNow holiday party afterwards. So pretty excited about that. Nice. How was Tampa?
Tampa was great. Good group meetup on Tuesday night. We had a dev meetup at Carlton Fields again. Ding for them. I knew it looked really familiar when I walked in. I said, wait a minute, this is the place where they gave me that wonderful mug that I use on the other video all the time.
And if you don't know about it, the developer meetups are gatherings of ServiceNow developers, local, and it's run by developers locally. And if you have interest in having one of those in your area, like they did in Tampa that Chuck was just at, and that I'm going to be at in Orlando on Tuesday, and then in San Antonio on Thursday, reach out to us here at the developer program and we'll help you get one started up if there's not already one. And you can check that at meetup.com.
That's right. The one in Vegas was really good too, the week before too. So I've been fortunate to hit quite a few of them in Q4, and always a good time. The developer days workshop went really, really well with Jason McKee. Wish you were there. I was thinking about both of you guys going, oh, it'd be so much fun if all four of us were here. But that's a rare find when that happens. I think last time was in London.
Yep. All right. So we're gonna have. I'm having a little tiny bit of issue here with the OBS. So when I did the screen share, it's taken over. So what I'm going to try to do is keep.
Would you like me to take over the OBS?
No, it's quite fine. What I need you guys to do is let me know if I begin to talk about something not on the screen, because I'm going to have to keep in mind that I got about 2/3 of my screen sharing.
Yeah, I see that. I'm looking at YouTube. Kind of weird.
All right. So what we'll do is I'll try to keep it confined to the parts that matter. So let me give a quick overview of how this thing is constructed currently. So when you go to developer.servicenow.com, you're looking at a blog that looks a lot like this. This thing looks kind of sensible. It's got our header, although old branding, et cetera, which we need to change. What's really happening under the hood there is that we've got this thing called virtual file system. So you'll notice that what we don't have when we do this is we don't have any kind of crazy sysid here. Right. We have what looks like, if you're not paying close attention, it looks like a kind of a normal WordPress style URLs, et cetera, et cetera. If you really look closely, you'll see that there's a query parameter, this question mark P equals, and then there's post, automated test work, et cetera. There's actually a processor that's doing that. And we have this thing called VFS. And this is a thing that I have submitted actually talks, kind of self-deprecating talk, which is about how ServiceNow does all kinds of like really robust, complicated business logic, but it's extremely hard to get it to serve a file of arbitrary type. You know, this is like what you can do on any Apache server in 7 seconds, and it's really kind of hard to do this in ServiceNow
because everything's a record. It's
yes.
We have everything in a database.
Right. All we want to do is just get files out of just get files as if they were a flat file in a file system. And so essentially what we built was this thing called VFS, virtual file system. And so this is really and truly, if you see down here, there's a couple different REST API endpoints that control pretty much everything. And let's see if I have truncated it off the screen or not. What we might do is let me blow this up a little bit and then see if I can scroll it up. So I've got some scripted REST API. This is going to be ugly. What I've got is some of these endpoints here, which I'm just going to talk to them because I can't get them on the screen. They're too far down. So essentially there's a endpoint which I can get some of these things. These are the ones that we've got some gets stats, and we got some publish. We've got get all file stats, et cetera, et cetera. Essentially just various ways to get access to this file record. And a file is really just a name, a path, contents. It's more or less exactly what you would expect from a file in a Linux file system or Windows or OS X. And so given all of that stuff, you basically assemble the developer blog out of this. It's asking for a bunch of files. And if you really look under the hood of the developer blog, you'll see that there is, if you view the page source, you'll see that there are actually calls. If I search on like this P equals, you'll see that what looks like is a file reference is actually references to this scripted REST API. So every place in here where you would expect to be loading a file, you are loading a file. You're just loading it via scripted REST API. So it's like this very simple looking blog actually is pretty complicated. If you notice here, for example, this is the CSS that we're loading. So you can see, make sure that we're on the screen, the CSS and the JavaScript and everything that we're loading from here is actually VFS file, and it's a path. So all of this stuff is kind of going on under the hood. Now, if we look at this post and we're looking at the one-page view of it, you see that we've got a read count down here. And let me refresh it. And it kind of can lag a little bit, but you'll notice, you know, how it blinks, it's blank and then it blinks in. That's actually being populated by AJAX. And that AJAX is going out. When it first loads, it has nothing, and then it goes out and it calls the REST API, which is to say, okay, it calls this get read count API, which is literally just returning that answer. Now, let me show you. We'll stretch this across a few different media here. That's actually being shown. If I can show you, that's being shown by some client-side JavaScript that's happening on the blog. So if you'll notice up here, we've got basically an onload kind of prototype or a jQuery function in here. And it gets the URL parameter. So this is kind of some purpose-built stuff. This is like not general purpose code. This is like very specific to our blog. It gets the URL parameter, which is that P, right? So it's saying, okay, what's the path? So essentially we're kind of emulating the path if you were looking at a static file. And we look to see if it ends with index HTML or it ends with whatever, then we know that we're not looking at like an image or something else. We're actually looking at the CSS. We're looking at the actual blog post. If that's the case, then it says get basically P, which is the parameter, and call that get count. And when you get a response, you're really just writing it into a div. So that's that flash of you see nothing and then you see that. It used to be actually, we had early on, we used to have read count, and then we were splatting it over it. Like read count would be in the static HTML. And then we realized that every so often, like something would happen and it wouldn't come up. And so it was better to have nothing there, you know, rather and have the read count followed by the number come in. So now what we want to do, that's all background. What we want to do is we want to be able to put comments on here. So right now there is literally nothing. And in fact, what Andrew and I are doing here is we have owed another team basically a proof of concept on this for some time. And so we're doing it here.
For some time, yes.
like well before Thanksgiving. And for various reasons, it just hasn't happened. And so what we're doing is we're doing it now. We'll give them the video and say, okay, here you go. So this is pretty much literally all I have done to the blog is if we come down here, there used to be, you could see that there was that div where we were splatting in the read count. That is right down here. I added one div to the template, which is called comments. So we've got a place in here waiting for comments. So now we're just really starting at the beginning, and we'll see how far we can get down here. So step one, we need a table to hold this. So we're going to create comments, and we'll create a new comment table. And what I'm going to do is, having demonstrated, I'm going to show everything else out, get rid of everything else, trying to get myself to the upper left, as upper left as possible. Let me get rid of
I'm going to try and jigger it a little bit. So
if you're able to log in and fix OBS, that would be wildly appreciated. All right.
Almost there.
Fantastic. All right. So let's call this comment. We'll let it to be, we're not extending anything. We'll let it auto-populate. And I'm going to go, let's go with just as simple as we can go. We need a reference to a file. So let's just call it file. We could name it post. This is up for debate. Should I name it post? Should I name it file? It is a reference to the file table, but let's call it post because that's actually what it is.
Yeah, I'm for post.
Okay. Here's one. And I don't know if this is a developer mode thing or not. Why like a lot of times you don't fill this and sometimes you do.
You don't fill it in because it's auto-generated. You're in.
But a lot of times, like you don't even like it. Is it going to auto-generate a submit time?
Column name isn't on there by default. You've got it turned on.
I did not try to.
Yeah, your gear has a dot on it. You have modified.
Okay, so we're going to give it a reference to the file. Then what we need is, what else? What other things do we need? I'm going to actually, to start off with, we're going to go real simple. I'm going to leave a
text.
created by. So we need, let's just say text. I'm fine with that. Let's call it.
You want that HTML or do you want string?
I want this to be a string.
Okay.
Let's give it a max length of, let's say 4,000. Let's say 10,000.
Well, anything over 1,000 in my book is I don't think there's any difference between 1,000 and 4,000, and that's pretty much unlimited anyway.
It might switching it. Yeah, switching it to a blob type or something like that. We also need, and so we can take this may not live this way, but let's call it author. For this, I'm going to make it a reference to sysuser. I think in practice, I think it might be a different table when it goes out to the developer portal, but I think sysuser is good enough for today. We can switch it to something else later.
Sure.
User. Let's do sysuser. All right. And then I'm going to I'm going to use the auto-generated created by. And I'm not going to do anything else with this. Okay. And I think for right now, that's enough.
You can pull the date off of the created by, the created on date and all that good stuff. So,
I think I need something else, which is I was gonna say, do I want
is it a reply in return? Do you want nested comments, or do you just want straight up?
Not at this moment. I don't want nested comments right now. But I don't want to discount the option of doing that.
Andrew fixed it.
All right, fantastic.
Nobel Prize.
All right. Let us then.
There were Nobel Prize in coding and drinking. Oh, you might have too much on the screen now. We got Dave's webcam showing.
The OBS is can be a tricky balance, getting that thing exactly right. Pause and take a drink. Okay, I'm going to start with just this. What I'm wondering is whether I want an order, like an order by.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point. An order field that is an integer. Put that on there. You're going to want it.
Okay, and we'll order by that. Let's just call it order for it.
You want an active field? It's usually one of my go-to fields, and just in case I need to disable but keep something around, somebody makes a heinous comment or something, you just deactivate it.
We could either do we could do active, or we could do a state, because we may want moderation.
Oh, that's true. Good point.
So let's do the integer order, and let's just give it a state.
Yep.
And for right now, let's just assume, so active could be a state, or post. We could have a posted, a moderated, and a rejected,
published, or something. Yeah.
Spam or whatever you say. So we'll just do that, and we'll make it a choice. Okay. All right. I think that's enough to get us rolling. Obviously, we may very well have other aspects to this. So let's create that guy.
That's the fun part. That's the easy part. It's just dreaming up fields.
I'm going to tell you that probably Andrew and I did a workshop yesterday, and I didn't say this, but I was thinking about saying it at one point, which is that honestly, like, data modeling is a lot of my favorite part of the whole deal.
Mine too. I was just going to say the same thing. I'm a data-driven person, so that's where I get the most value, the most instant gratification.
Data modeling is a lot like it's like shopping in the Sears wish book when I was a kid. At that point, everything's possible.
So Dave, you should be able to use more of the screen now.
Okay, cool.
So you can go up left with the window and be good.
All right. Thank you.
Nice.
Alrighty. And in fact, I'm going to drag this guy because nobody wants to see my.
I made a pun this week. Made a pun that is just going to stick with me forever now in ServiceNow lore. Is when you're picking the table sysuser and you type in user and it comes up with imp_user and sys_user. Mm-hmm. I finally figured out what imp_user is for.
It's the import user, right?
Well, yeah, that's what most people think. I thought it was for.
Uh-oh. Here we go.
I'm just going to say Tyrion Lannister.
All right, there you go. I don't have a soundboard.
Send your hate mail too.
I don't have a rim shot to put in the. I have neither a soundboard nor a rim shot.
I do.
Okay.
The instance seems to be getting audio.
All right. So we'll go forward minus the audio, but we'll keep demoing this. All right. So this is the path that should have
It's back. I just verified too on my laptop. We're good. Thank you, audio engineer.
Yeah, and when those things happen, man, feel free to raise it as fast as possible, please. Thank you, audience.
Should it be /post/post? Does that look right to you?
That's an artifact of. So that is really what it is on that system. So
okay,
that's probably a function of the publisher, which is we're looking at this on the dev thing. Like in production, I don't think it is like that, but that's how it's going to be referenced here. So that's what we're going to use. If it doesn't work, then that will be the first thing we look at. And you know what? I should not have invoked it that direction, because what I should have come was right down here and done explore REST API. That would be a much better way to invoke that.
Yeah, then it brings up the right parameters. I never use that enough. It's one of those, oh my gosh, why am I doing this the hard way?
All right. So we're going to go and let's try to emulate what we've got there. And so let us see what happens if we hit send. 200 would be good.
Yeah, that's good. We're off to a good start.
Oh, look at that.
Look at that. This is my text comment number 1, number 2. Time is null, so our get value somewhere isn't working on that. I like it. We're off to the races.
Let's fix that before we go any further while we're thinking about it.
Our horse just has a gimpy leg.
What if his I said
sys created on.
Sys created on. Okay, there you go.
And it is get value is going to give you the UTC. I don't know if you wanted that or the display value.
Let's try this.
Stick display value in there. It'll apply the time zone for us. Life will be happy.
Yeah, one of the things that we want to do because ultimately what we're doing is like some stuff down in here. Ideally, we'd like any heavy lifting should probably happen server side, right? Because otherwise, although I'm sure there are people that would be quite fine with doing a lot of stuff here, this is not my strong suit.
I'm with you.
So we can get it as close to camera ready coming out of this API Explorer, then that is to the good. All right, so let's send this again. It really should just be. All right, there we go. In fact, that is in my time zone, et cetera, et cetera. Okay. All right, so that's good. That's good news right there. Now the next step is
render it
to render over here. So, now this is where you might very well. Well, you know what? I'm going to leave it exactly like that, Chuck, because. Well, no, the post. I don't know what's happening with that. There is another problem here, which is that like if we were going to actually view it from the UI up here, well, I can find that.
You're gonna need a little bit of formatting to go along with that. You just don't want to dump all that together.
What I want to do over here is find the actual record so this record.
Yeah.
Is automated test framework. Oh, that's the most recent one. Okay, well that actually is helpful.
Lucky.
That is helpful. So this is in fact, this post here is in fact the one that we just made comments again. So that's
nice.
But that post thing, I don't actually know if that's I don't know if that's how it is in production. I would have to go look at actual records. I don't know. We'll find out. Let us go now. So that part worked just fine. So let's go on here. And the other part I want to do is I'm just going to, again, let's start with this. Let's just take this same jQuery business here. And again, like jQuery, I can generate jQuery code. Probably I have never generated jQuery code minus a trip to Stack Overflow somewhere in there.
I'd agree with that statement.
Like from blank page to working jQuery code, I don't think has ever happened for me personally. I'm sure that I have Googled something in the middle between those two things.
It's either going to be Stack Overflow and possibly a trip to W3 schools as well.
So what I'm going to do is all I'm going to do is just swap out this one thing because everything else is the same. I'm just going to swap out this endpoint for get comments. And what we're going to do, I think for now, so we're going to call this, and I'm going to do, here's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to literally dump response result.
Yeah.
So
that's fine.
Let's just see if we can dump that payload into this div.
Good first step for debugging.
And let's just say comments. All right. So then we'll save this. What I'm going to do is I'm going to actually rebuild this. And so we're doing, actually, this is a little node thing. This is our friend Josh Nereus wrote this whole part. It's doing the static regeneration of the site. It's pushing it to that. So it's just rebuilt it. We're actually going to run through, we're going to look at the checksums of all these files. Most of them should be, I got some debugging because I had a problem in there. Most of these should be the same. It's now looping over all of them and like generating the MD5. If the MD5 is different, then it's going to push them. So the only file it should push here should be stats.js, whatever that file is. So you see, this is actually, every one of these things is a file it's looking at, examining. I think that was probably the one right there that had that extra logging. Okay. And so we pushed, there we go. We pushed stats.js. So now if I reload the blog if I reload my dev blog, we should, there it's doing something. We got the read count. Did I lose my sign in? Oh, look at that. Look at that, gentlemen.
I'm looking. I'm not seeing it.
Oh, there it is.
Object. My favorite.
That is actually good news. So now
you can iterate over it.
We can iterate over this. Now, here's where we hit Stack Overflow. Response of result is an array of two things. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to try to
with
do
a
this.
for each.
I'm going to do it. Yeah, without Stack Overflow, we'll do a for each. And then for each, and then we're passing it a function, right? This is an anonymous function right here.
Yep.
And do I have to parameterize it, or does it automatically going to be? Do I pass it?
You pass it the item.
That, and now that is the thing. That is the thing from each. Okay. All right. So now
I had to relearn that for the video series I've got coming up. Like, I can't remember. You can pass up to 3 parameters. I can't remember what they are.
All right. So let's do this. I'm gonna scope this just above that thing, which I've got to, because it's for each, like this is a function, right? So this is happening. This dude right here is happening independent of.
Right. Now
everything.
You should have direct access to comment.text, comment.
Yeah. So I got comment.text. What I'm going to do is I'm going to concatenate them to this comment block.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So now what we're going to do is let's go back up to our REST API Explorer and look at our thing.
Oh, it's comments. Did you say result.comments?
Maybe not. Result.comments.
Yeah. You have to result.comments.for each.
Result.comments. You're right. Thank you. Comments.for each.
We're guessing anyway. We have no ammunition in the gun.
Response.
But you already have. Oh, yeah. You passed response. Okay.
Response.
Funny how nobody's screaming in the comments. nobody's YouTubing at us going, no.
Okay. So let's do comment block. And so I don't care if this is well formatted or not. What I want to do is let's just do comment.text.
Whoa. It auto-completed a custom elements for you.
Thank you, VS Code. Comment.
You went to a different color theme. That's why I didn't recognize it. I'm like, that looks really familiar.
Comment dot. Let's do time. Then let's append author. Author.
I think you want a plus equal, do you not, after comment block?
Yes, I do. That was the intention there. Plus, thank you. Comment dot text.
Text. Yep.
Then what we want to do over here is comments, and we just want to splat the comment block there.
This is going to be good. If this works, I'm taking a drink. If
this works, I'm shutting it down, because all I can do is, if this works the very first time, all we can do is screw it up from here.
Well, the rest is just formatting.
All right. So that's while we do this, this will take a little bit of time. Actually, one of the things I'm going to do before we do anything else, I'm just going to go in for 1 second. I'm going to go to my publish script, and I'm going to take out that logging because it is actually slowing it down. So if I can find, I'm in the wrong window. I need the other one. Publisher.js. I'm going to take out the console log right there. So that's IO it won't need to do. So I'll get a little bit faster. Let's do the build. Now I'm in drink while that's working. You guys can talk amongst yourselves. Ooh, chocolate Bach. Chocolatey and Bach-y.
How's that treating you tonight?
Oh, whoo. This one is I
want to run out and get one.
So I've got, this was actually the thing I was debugging, is it was crashing because there's, I think, 2 bad files that were generated that aren't actually real files. So it would crash on that. Okay, so we published our published our stats.js. So we should be good out there on the page. Now we're going to load it.
Oh, how I wish I had a drum roll.
Let's see what happens. Now it should be helped by the fact that it's a little bit recount.
Yes.
We should get something.
And
we're getting nothing. Now let's go to the console.
Right. I've hit a timeout.
Go to the console. I expect to see some form of error in here.
Yeah, your jQuery sucks.
Failed to load. Uncaught type error. Read property of comments. Cannot read property comments of undefined. All right, so that is up in here. Property comments. Response.result. Result.
Oops.
Response.result.comments. All right.
Cursors.
All right. Push. And again.
Another drink for the.
He's celebrating the
build.
The compiling the build part.
This is we should have more steps that are slow in here, because as we have figured out, the person driving seldom gets to drink enough.
That's right. You get to the end and go, "How was your beer?" I didn't start.
All right. So
yeah,
now
last week we were almost done, and I only halfway in.
All right. So I'm gonna go ahead and leave this up just in case, but we're not gonna need it because this one's gonna work.
That's an optimism.
Hey. Oh. Comments block is there. Wait for it.
No, that's it, because that's what we got. Inside jQuery is ready. Yeah. So all these things, these are just kind of. So those are not it, and this is like presence, right? I don't know what this is. This is not.
Yeah, that's not yours.
That's not.
API v1 user something.
I actually don't know what the user's API is, but I'm gonna assume that it's some sort of like thing up in the login header. So let's see if we can find out what is happening. So next step is we're not seeing what we expect to see. So let's go ahead and do some console logging in here.
Watch comment block get built.
Let's just do yes. Let's make sure that it's happening.
He's not ready to go to Stack Overflow quite yet.
Well, no, I don't think. I think we can actually go around it, because this is like all the problem. So let's in loop with, and let's just say, let's pick any of these guys.
Yeah, because we would have had a horrible crash if that was syntactically violated.
Correct. Something. So it ran. It just didn't do the thing we were going to do. We were expecting.
We don't know. Yeah, we don't know if it got in the loop.
And like, unlike Service Portal and some of these things that are a little crazier, this probably is something we could actually find and put a Chrome debug point on if we absolutely needed to. let's go ahead and console. Now here's something is like JSON parse. Is that a language feature, or is that like a?
Yeah, that's a language thing. It's an.
So let's go ahead. Let's try it. Let's see if we can
just dump the thing.
If we can dump it here.
Okay.
Response equals, and so JSON dot. Well, it seems to know it. So.
Oh, okay.
JSON dot stringify.
Response.
No. It's stringify. I want. Yeah, that's what I want.
Yeah, you want stringify because you want to see it in text.
Response.
Do a response comma null comma 4. And it'll get some nice formatting if the log will support
comma,
it.
What and what is
null, NULL, comma 4. That'll give you four spacing indent. If the log will display it that way, it's a lot easier to read.
Oops, and I need a plus sign right here. That will help. All right. Okay. Anything else that's worth logging here? I think this is enough for right now. All right. And
drum roll and a drink, please. I still need a drum roll.
All right. Now let us go to browser. Let's clear this again just to make it easier to find. Let's see what we see. So we should have our console logging. And inside jQuery's ready.
Error aborted 404. Was that your 404?
No, that's the user me.
Oh, okay. So where's your log statements?
I am not seeing. I'm not seeing it. This is possibly the problem here. Is that, let me scooch this up a little tiny bit. Is that I wonder actually if this, I wouldn't think that taking too long would be a problem because it's asynchronous, right?
Inside jQuery's ready function, it echoed that out. Or was that from the other one that you didn't want? No, that's the one.
I'm looking at.
I saw that in the log.
Yeah, I'm just looking by analogy to see if I did the same thing across these two guys. It sure looks the same to me. So why is this not happening? Oh, let's do one more. Well, no, because we're logging the response and we're not seeing that.
We know we're getting into the $.get because it said object the first time.
Let's do this. Let's see what we see with this guy. So we know console log in
get count, read count, whatever.
Yep. And read count. And let's do exactly the same stuff. This exact quote.
Oh, that's sneaky.
Oh, comment from YouTube. We can shortcut a lot of that. And instead of the JSON.stringify, he said, you can just do console.log response and you'll get the actual object which you can navigate through. I think we knew that from service portal days.
Let's try it. We'll do both just to see. Let's do response. Why not both?
Okay.
As the all right. So
I hate when you learn something and then you forget it. Even worse is what Brad Tilton said. And then someone goes on the community and says, I found the answer. It's one of your posts.
I have done exactly that.
I found my post, but I've never had them thrown back in my face by someone else.
Oh, dude, I have Googled on a problem and turned up my own post at the developer blog.
Yeah, a little embarrassing.
Okay. Let's do this.
I'm not embarrassed when that happens. That's why computers store things for me.
That's right. My external memory is the internet.
Okay, so
so you got count 10 and comments is empty.
Yeah, so this is what we're seeing.
Oh, interesting.
So let's go back and so are we laboring under
a
misapprehension?
If you do have that object there, you would have expand that.
Yeah, so let's go back. Yeah, let's go back up to here. And so so you're saying, so in where it says response equals, Result comments empty. Okay. Oh, you know what this is? This almost certainly is the differential. Here's the deal. I think I know the deal.
Passing the object.
But we got the, I think we saw the two objects that may actually have been, we were working under the assumption that we were seeing the comments. We may not have been.
We were just seeing an empty array.
I think we were, that might have just been
It
a
never
false
got passed out
positive
or passed back.
So let's do, and in fact, I kind of like I'm with,
do a comments.length.
No, we're just
gonna, we're going to verify it's 0 because it's empty.
We're going to do this from here on out. So, but I think what we're doing, I think here's the problem is this is the post business that you identified a long time ago, Chuck. Let's see if we can find, here's what we're going to do. Here's how we'll solve this problem. Because what we're going to do is over here on so we've already got full path. Let's, we want to look at all. And let's find, what we want to do is find automated test framework. So let's do this. Let's go back to all. And let's do full path contains automated. And we're going to get some crap in here. But then what we want to do is filter this in.
Oh, there's 2 of them.
Yes, there's exactly. There's a post and there's a post. And somewhere in here, I'm not gonna bother.
There's one.
Debugging.
2 of them.
What I want is all I want is to get this sysid into the other thing.
So right click and say copy sysid.
Now, let's
right click on index HTML. There you go.
But I'm trying to think. So now, given the sysid, and when I come back to the comment, I want to rewrite that to this thing with the sysid. How do I? Oh, I clicked the wrong person again.
User.
I see what you're saying. You
I've got the sysid, but I don't.
Yeah. So open up the record. Go to the reference field, and now you can click the magnifying glass. And use your filter there to say sysid equals.
Very tricksy. All right.
Yeah, where there's a will, there's a way.
Nope. Let's just say is.
Ting. Although I haven't seen starts with fail yet.
All right. Now, that's a little bit of a drag.
Update that.
Oh, no, it almost got you.
All right. Okay, let's do this again. This is a drag, but we'll fix this later. And you say like, and making we could fix this with making the display value. In fact, I don't know why I'm screwing around with this. We probably could fix this in a second by just making the display value be the full path.
The full path, yeah. Know exactly what you're getting then.
But
no one will ever use this for administrative purposes.
You're right. I'm wrong. All right, let's come over here. All right. Now let's see what
we shouldn't have to rebuild.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah, look at that.
Look at that.
Hey. It was the post thing messing us up.
Yeah, so that was just that bad data, and I think that had to have come from like a weird publish, or something. And so this is like an artifact of my dev environment here. And in fact, I was saying how I had problems with the publisher, and I had to go in and do some. That's why we were getting all that extra command line output. I may have done a bad push so there could be I basically could have 2 copies of everything, like with a phantom prefix in front of some of them.
Now it's just down to formatting.
It is really down to formatting. So we could conceivably, now bearing in mind, you notice what we've got the reading here. What do we not have? Writing. So now what we need is some sort of, it could be, I actually don't mind if it being a form. I would be just fine with there being like some sort of form thing here.
Mm-hmm.
And then we, we just posted where the post was to an API that we have up here. In my entire career, I have never done an API that takes URL encoded or takes form encoded parameters. Have either of you guys?
Not a scripted REST API, but I understand that London now has the ability to take responses or requests in that format.
Yeah, I never have. And I'm assuming, yeah, and this is not, and this instance is not on London, so we won't have that. So that might actually be, so that's a thing to think about for the future. For now, we have actually done kind of the thing we need to, this is good enough to say,
well,
okay.
Why would you need the form encoded URL? Why wouldn't you do a post?
I could, I could write a little jQuery handler and do all that kind of stuff, post the thing. I guess I could. I was saying for simplicity's sake, it could just be, this could have just been, like write the thing, like say on a WordPress comment where it's a form, like, form tag, you've essentially got a form block where the action is, post to the thing. But we can't.
But your action would be the scripted REST API that would accept the post.
Yeah, but that's a jQuery thing, because if I'm doing it from the HTML, it's going to come in form encoded. I would need to do a jQuery, a little bit of jQuery magic down here, which I can certainly do, because what am I going to do between now and writing that? I'm going to go to Stack Overflow and find out how the hell you do that. Off the top of my head, I don't know like what I would put over here. So somewhere in here, like as we're writing this out, so we're in our footer, and that would be down, I think, in this guy right here. So here's a so I told you, did I even mention what the static renderer is? It's Hugo, which is it's a fairly big open source project, and so there are a number of static sites that are rendered with this. Josh Nereus was the one who kind of made the decision we should go with this, and he started building the original stuff. I had been working on this thing for 1 week, okay? And at some point I asked Josh, by the way, what language are we writing this in? I had no clue. I was looking at the Hugo site.
Before you asked that?
We were 1 week in before I said, by the way, what is this language? It's Go. It's the Go template. Go is the Go in Hugo.
Oh, okay.
I didn't know that. I had no idea I was writing in Go. I was just like literally going field by field and function by function. It's like, how do you compare strings? What is available to me in here? So that is to the strength of Hugo that I was able to work at it without even knowing what language I was using.
It almost looks like, what's the other one? Handlebars or mustache or something where there's a lot of extra curly braces hanging around.
Yeah, like all these things in here, a lot of these things in here are just, you get this basically a context. So you have, like this is basically the context of the page I'm rendering. And so like this category count is one of those, and et cetera, et cetera. This param, and then you have global variables, you have like page variables, and et cetera, et cetera. So what I'm going to do is like down here in this div, I'm going to write whatever it is, I'm going to create another LI or another div, and that's going to have my comment form. Yep. The handler is going to be some sort of jQuery thing that posts it up. And then I'm going to have another, essentially like the equivalent of this, that's a write comment that will accept it. And then from there, we'll probably do some stuff. Maybe, we'll do a WordPressy type logic. Like if there is another approved comment from this user, like maybe the first time, if a user has no approved comments, they got to be moderated the first time. I don't know. There's got to be something, because otherwise this will be a mess. But anyway, I think I'm going to click the button because that's what we were after.
Get my camera back.
I realized I forgot to ever click my stop video button, which is why
you weren't on camera except for that little part.
All right. So here's the part where this works against us. It's good that we were able to get this working in an hour. And that's exactly what I'm going to say. Because we were supposed to have done this a month ago. And we could have done this in an hour if we had really buckled down and done it.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of a way to spin it better for us, and I don't think I have one available.
Nope.
I spent more than an hour trying out some things, but yeah.
But here's the deal. Here's the spin. We didn't know it would take an hour. We assumed it would take longer. So there's our positive spin. All right. So gentlemen, let's go around the horn. Did you ever get, by the way, we never got an update. Did the beer arrive?
The beer never arrived, so I had to just use bourbon.
That's fair enough. Fair enough.
So Elijah Craig, 18.
What's the rating on the Elijah Craig?
The yumminess.
I'm gonna take your inarticulate nature to be a high rating. A lot of wallop really fast.
A 5.0 is passed out on the floor. Is that what you're getting at?
Something like that. All right, Chuck, how about you?
My Leinenkugels Creamy Dark is nearly gone. Another sip and it will be gone. I'm going to give this a solid 4.
I'm going to give this chocolate Bock. I think I'm going to be right there with you. 4.0. It's kind of doing the job. I don't love Bocks in general, but this is probably one of the ones I like better. And the chocolate is quite chocolatey. So it's I'm enjoying it. What was it? Do you remember any of the other things in that Leinenkugel? In that mixed, in any of the other, in that variety pack?
What was it? I had a lager last week. I'm trying to remember the name. It was is
it like a seasonally winter?
Yeah, it's one of those season packs they put together like Sam Adams does. Here's our winter. I think that they call it the Liney Lodge.
Okay,
and
cool.
They give you 3 of these, 3 of these, 3 of these in the 12 pack. And this I'm working through. I had 1 or 2 more lagers, and I went no. And I think there's a red ale in there as well. So I'll try to do that next time.
I might try to hunt that up because I do enjoy me a Leinenkugel now and then. All right, so final assessment. We clearly can do what we're trying to do here. The REST API, scripted REST API, not that hard to do. It's really at this point down to formatting, which is really, really mild, like a little tiny bit of embedded HTML in that jQuery handler, essentially what, I don't know what you call it, the handler to the get, would just what we need is a little bit of CSS. We probably need to like write some classes like comment author, etc. And then we don't have to think about the appearance. We'll just style it in CSS later on. And then we just need a little form to accept it. Now this does imply, and frankly, it's to my discredit that it's been in this hour that moderation even occurred to me as a thing that we would need, because in the last month when we were supposed to have been doing this, I never thought about moderation. But we don't want to put an unmoderated comment system up.
No.
So we'll have to think about that. But the rendering, not a problem. And so that's the whole, like the whole tricky part of this. I mean, this was a concern when we first did this static site, is that exactly this kind of thing, which is we do have some things that we'd like to get view counts. We'd like to do something. We always wanted to have comments, right? And so
the moderation is easy enough to just do from the back end.
Yeah, and it will be.
You don't have to style any of that or build functionality.
Right, and one of the alternatives we did consider, and what a lot of Hugo sites do, is they just drop the Discuss embed in there. And then you just like set up an account. And we considered that. I mean, that certainly we would already be done if we had done that, but we actually opted to keep it in-house. So we decided we would rather do the extra effort of building it ourselves rather than basically taking our all our stuff and putting it externally. So that was a deliberate decision. But there's not a very so our output of this whole thing is to t-shirt size the development effort, and I think we can do that now. And it ain't huge. It is not an Excel, so Andrew and I will powwow from here. But I think we've done what we need to do. All right,
I have beer delivery.
Oh, this show is bookended by last minute saves. Andrew told me how to start the YouTube channel like at 4:45,
which was 20 seconds after I joined.
Yes, right. Which I struggle because there's a new thing that you don't normally have to do, and then OBS was weird. It's all weird. Okay. All right, gentlemen. Let's all have our drinks and go into our weekends. And thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone.
All right. I will stop it on YouTube.
Bye.
You're going to have to stop OBS. And with that, see y'all.